time, I'd like Gordon Peary to come to the podium, please. Gordon, please come to the podium.
Hi, I'm Gordon Peary from Mr. McCarron's class from 205, and I'm here to talk about this young brother who has a 3.5 GPA and has the potential to have a 4.0. And he also is a very talented musician and also played on the basketball team. He's a very humorous person, and I have, without no further ado, to introduce to you my friend, James Davis.
Okay, first off, I acknowledge Jeffrey Daniels as an intelligent person. He is very hilarious, smart. I look up to Jeffrey when I'm sad or something. You can always go around him and have a good time. He'll make you laugh. And, I'm really shocked. I didn't know I was going to say this today, but Jeffrey Daniels, please.
Good evening, and welcome to the Masterpiece Theos. We'll start off with an invocational by the Reverend Lois Lester. He's the pastor of the original New Grace Missionary Baptist Church. Let's give it up.
Eternal God, we'd like to first start off this evening thanking you for bringing us to this appointed hour. We thank you, Lord, because we realize that there are some who may have went from 7th to 8th grade last year that did not make it to a graduation, and we want to thank you for having these young people be of the appointed, chosen few. As we prepare to send them on, we ask that you continue to keep your loving arm of protection and grace around them. We ask that you continue to crown them with your knowledge and with most of all common sense, because it will be common sense that will save them from some of the hellish traps that await them as they go to high school. But inasmuch as you strengthen them, Lord, I ask that you look to the parents. For a child is only as good as the tree that bears them. We ask that you strengthen them, that you crown them with wisdom and knowledge to send their children on this last run of the way, that when they, in another 4 years, graduate from high school, they will be sentient, capable, productive parts of society, because Lord knows we need them. We need them. As we enter into this program, we ask that you just touch everyone on the stage. We ask that you just let your sweet spirit be among us. We ask these things of you because we realize that no one else can do the things you do the way you do the things you do, Lord. These and many of the blessings we ask in your Son's name. Amen.
Next, we will have the welcome done by Ms. Ashley Trapp from Section 9.
Good evening. My name is Ashley Trapp from Section 9, and I would like to welcome all parents, staff, and students to our 8th grade celebration. As we close the school year, we would like to say thanks to all the staff and parents for your support. Thank you, and welcome to our 8th annual Like the Fact Picture for the class of 2002.
Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought. It's brought us facing the rising sun of a new day. March on till victory. Victory is won.
Okay. Did that sister have a voice? It's off the look. Just let you know. Okay. Next we will have the pouring of libations by Miss Mama Valedictorian. Miss Valedictorian is not here, so in her absence, we will have King Sundiata do the libations.
We'd like to welcome all of you here tonight. We'd like to bless this very serious and this very precious moment. This is a very precious moment for our children. It's a very precious moment for our race, and it has something to do with where our future will lead. These students will be our future leaders of tomorrow. So at this point, we want you young students to always remember that you're walking in the footsteps of giants.
That's
you
right.
Understand? You're standing on the backs of men and women who came, who fought, and who struggled, and who paid the price so that you would have a Malcolm X Academy today. And we would like to bless you as you walk into your future, and we only ask that you never betray us. You understand? Always walk tall, proud, and firm. And as we come to pour this libation, I want you to understand, we're going to make it very brief, but we want to make it potent and powerful so you would know that this is your rite of passage. Now you can go on to high school, you can go on to college, you can fulfill your dreams, but you should never forget where you got your foundation at where? Malcolm X Academy in Detroit, Michigan. So as I pour this libation, remember those who struggled before you. If I call the name of someone you do not know, then you need to go back to the library. You need to read some more of your history and understand that you are the bridge. As these great educators are passing the baton on to you. Now you have to take the baton and you have to rise our future. So class of 2002, are you ready? Yeah. This water that we pour to the plants, for those who are not familiar, is symbolic of those who have passed on. We pour the drink, the libation, into the soil, and we bless the memory of our ancestors, and we commemorate the achievements that they have done. So yes, this is another prayer. I will ask you to say a salutation. In the Twi language of Ghana, when we want our ancestors to come and bless us and come and drink, we say inside. So when I say inside, you say inside. 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 You have to say it like you mean it. Then we're going to bridge traditions in Nigeria where so many African slaves came from. We're going to use a salutation that comes from Yoruba culture.
When we say amen, how you say amen in your church, when we say ashe, that means may God sanction it, so shall it be. So when I say ashe, you say ashe, 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 ashe. Now you understand how it's going to go. I would like to ask the permission of the most eldest person in this room, because I am not the oldest, but whomever amongst us who is the oldest in accordance to strict African traditions, may I have your permission to proceed? All the grandmothers and grandfathers, we thank you. Dr. Watson, may I have your permission to proceed? I thank you as the chief of this academy. You understand the protocol that's going on here. So now, in ancient Kemet, you know about Kemet, you know about Egypt? Who built the Great Pyramid? African ancestors. So to the great builder, Khufu was one of the great builders and master architects of the first pyramids, we say inside. We call the name of Imhotep because Imhotep was one of the great fathers, or the great founding father of the medicinal traditions that came out of the ancient times. So for all of those others who followed, including your American Medical Association, we thank Imhotep for those great talents. We say inside. We'd like to thank the great pharaohs, the great pharaoh Akhenaten and his great beautiful queen Nefertiti. We say inside. We'd like to thank the great king Tutankhamun and his beautiful queen Ankhesenama. We say inside. We'd like to thank the great queen Hatshepsut. Yours, we had great queens in Kemet. We say inside. The great queen Tanya. We say inside. All of those who built that great civilization, those who built the Sphinx, we commemorate their memory. Moving right along to Ethiopia, which is just as old as Kemet, going back to the imperial times when Ethiopia and all of Africa was known as the land of the dark-skinned black people. But the oldest known fossil of any human life that was found dated back to Ethiopia 4 million years ago. So today, Africa was known as the land of the dark-skinned black people, but the oldest known fossil of any human life that was found dated back to Ethiopia 4 million years ago. So to that ancestral woman, her name was not Mary, to that ancestral woman, to that line of Makeda, from that line that came from Solomon and the Queen of Sheba all the way to the Emperor Haile Selassie in Ethiopia, the great emperor, we say, inside. Moving to the west, we had so many slaves that came from the west. In Ghana, to the great Kwame Nkrumah, we say inside. Guinea, to the great Sekou Touré, we say inside. Nigeria, to the great Azikiwe Nnamdi, we say inside. We like to go to Central Africa, our continent is so big. In the Congo, to the great Patrice Lumumba, we say inside. We like to go to south now, to the great Zulu land, all those who died in the South African Revolution, to the great Shaka Zulu and his mother Nandi, the Zulu nation, we say inside. You see, we had a long path that brought you here, my children. And as we are coming now, we're coming on the transatlantic journey. Can you imagine what your ancestors went through on the slave ships? I will paint the picture of those who had to work the fields from sun up to sundown, those who had to take the lash of the slave master's whip on their back, those who had no choice other than to fight so that you would one day have the freedom that you have today. Those that were lynched, those that were raped, those that were castrated, those that were sold in auction blocks, all of those that we lost, who perished in the largest Holocaust of any people, over 100 million slaves in the African Holocaust. We never shall forget them. You should never forget them. In their memory, all of those unanimously, we say, inside! As we go forward, we only have a little time. You know, we could be praising libation all night. But I don't want you to forget the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. We came into this century, we pour libation in his honor, we say, Ashe! I never want you to forget the Honorable Nat Turner. You know who Nat Turner was? Yes. Never forget the slave rebellions. We say, Ashe. Pour libation to the great conductor of the Underground Railroad. What was her name? Honorable Grandma Moses Harriet Tubman. We say, inside. We'd like to pour libation for the Honorable Frederick Douglass and the abolitionists and the Honorable Sojourner Truth. We say, inside. We'd like to pour libation as we bring you chronologically into our history for the Honorable Noble Drew Ali and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We say, inside. We'd like to pour libation for all of those who fought during the Civil Rights era. You have forgotten those that were squirted down with the water hose and bitten by the police dogs and all of the trouble that went down during that time. All of those who perished like Medgar Evers. So we can go on and on and on, but we want to say, cherish the memory of what happened that brought you where you are in the 90s today. So now we pour libation for the great Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. We say, Ashe. For libation for the great Fannie Lou Hamer, we say Ashe. For the Honorable Madam C. Walker, we say Ashe. I'm just only bringing you and luring you right up to date, my dear brothers and sisters. What is the reason that we're here tonight? We're here tonight in the honor of a great, great man who was the grandfather of our African Revolution, was he not? And as we come to honor the Honorable Malaak Shabazz, known to us as Malcolm X, which this academy represents. It's a big, big thing for these children to go on in Malcolm X's name. You understand that? Yeah. Students, you are going on in Malcolm X's name. So as we come to call his name, because he brought you from the 60s where you are today, remember the 90s is the 60s turned upside down. We are now in the 90s and you're going into the millennium, but watch out, because there is a natural mystic in the air, and those who were once the rulers shall be the same rulers in the end. And if you get those good grades, you're going to get those good jobs, and you're going to be the good servants that will go on in the future and will win back the noble and the dignity of our race. You understand? So now I will pull this libation in honor of a great, great queen. Because behind the king, the foundation, we have the great queen. And it gives me honor that we have her bloodline and extension here tonight. And it is a classic moment because everyone knows it was just yesterday that the Honorable Betty Shabazz was with us. Just yesterday. And now as we cherish her memory, and as she comes to commence and come to sanction what we're to do tonight in honor of a great queen who never shall be forgotten in the annals of history, the great wife and the great backbone and the great pillar of the Honorable Malaak Shabazz. We pour libation to the Honorable Betty Shabazz. We say, Ashe. We thank you, and for our last one, because our history will go on. It will go on past now. It will go on past you. It will go on into the history, but the life you live, will it make a difference? I'm here to say, Brother Malcolm's life has made a difference, and I'm here to say, Dr. Watson, if you allow me, the Malcolm X Academy has made a difference in all of our lives, and it makes a big point today. Did we accomplish what we were to accomplish? Yes, we did, because from the time of Malcolm X to now, we have this beautiful academy today. Brother Malcolm said we must unlaunch a cultural revolution that will unbrainwash an entire race of people. And now we're not doing that today at the Malcolm X Academy. We have brought it right on home. So we are thankful that we have accomplished something right here in the church. We have made a place. And you students, it's not your commitment address, someone else is going to say it, but you students are going to make the difference in the future when people say, he's in that corporation, guess where he came from? The Malcolm X Academy. You starting to get the picture? That's where we're going to go. So now, tonight, never forget this day. In 1998, this is your graduation day, but in honor of the great Malaak Shabazz, known in Africa as Omowale, the child who was returned, and now you're the children returning in his name, the great grandfather of our African Revolution. We thank you, we thank you, we thank you. In his name tonight, we finalize our libation to the Honorable Malcolm X. We say inside, Ashe, 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 inside, Ashe.
Libations be the only time that you commemorate and remember your ancestors, for without them you wouldn't be here. So I think we should give them another hand. Now we will have the Malcolm X Pledge by the 8th grade class of 2002, led by Dante Cox.
We
and Malcolm X Academy will strive for excellence and our quest to be the best. We'll rise above every challenge with our heads held high. We'll always keep the faith. We'll never say die. March on to victory's ours. Emmanuel.
The boys basketball team had an unprecedented record of 7 wins and 1 loss, led by Michael Ware and Calvin Wooten. The girls basketball team also had the most successful season in its history, with a record of 5 wins and 4 losses, led by Charlita Wesley and Kiana Stevens. The Malcolm X Academy clique also had a good year, headed by myself, Krista Blair. We changed the school's technology forever by purchasing a digital camera and maintaining the computer lab superior to any other group of students. The Malcolm X Academy clique also caught the attention of the Detroit Free Press by sending 300+ electronic messages to its editors complaining about the lack of recognizing Black History Month. And to her amazement, the Malcolm X Academy students provided her with the information to feature in the PC at Home paper of the Sunday Voices section of Detroit Free Press. Several members of the class of 1998 had the experience of a lifetime while they traveled to Ghana, West Africa for 13 days. This journey was said to be very emotional and exciting. This class of 1998 broke down barriers and constructed new ones, with 70% of our students maintaining a 3.0 or better. Let's give them a round of applause. In the course of our time here at Malcolm X Academy, we have encountered many bad times which are most likely to be left alone and forgotten. But for the bundle of memories and friends, teachers, and moments that only we can share with each other, we must never forget where we came from, where we are, and where we are going. At this time, I would like to take this opportunity, and it is my pleasure, undeniably, to give recognition to my teachers. I've had a wonderful academic career here at Malcolm X Academy. I was enrolled here in the 3rd grade, and my first teacher was Miss Yukis. I want to thank her for the solid elementary instruction I received. Mr. Moore was also one of my first teachers, and I want to thank him also. To Mama Lee, Ms. Greer, and Ms. Harris, you all know how I had the best years of my education as your student. I want to thank Ms. Spinner for her wisdom and ambition, Mama Nefertari for her inspiration and insight, Ms. Gibbons for her continuous energy and willingness to assist, Mr. Michaels for his words of encouragement, and last but certainly not least, Mr. Robertson, because if it weren't for him, I probably would not be here. There are no words that can express how we feel and the love and support that the Malcolm X Academy family has shown us was and still is unbelievable. At this time, I will ask that the class of 2002 stand and give a standing ovation to their parents and Malcolm X Academy staff, because without them, this would not be possible.
Next, we will have the Malcolm X Academy song performed by the class of 2002, led by flutes by Ebony Booker. Let's give them a round.
honor charge made by Ms. Nicole Stewart, who was a Malcolm X Academy member in the class of 1995, and she was named Valedictorian for Renaissance High School for 1999. Ms. Nicole Stewart.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. First, I would like to acknowledge Dr. Watson, Mrs. Dawson, our guest speaker, and all the faculty, and a special congratulations to the class of 1998. Give yourself a clear up one thing, I'm not the valedictorian. That was a mistake. Pretty close, but not valedictorian. I was asked here to come today to speak to you all and give you advice on when you go to high school. I guess one of the first things I want to talk to you about is your academics, and I know you hear this all the time, you know, stay focused, get good grades. Well, it's true, you have to stay academically focused. When you go to high school next year, start then, don't wait till your junior year or your senior year to say, oh, I'm going to try to get focused on my grades, because then you're going to want your scholarships. You need to stay focused. Start next year so you can be prepared and you'll be successful. I also want to talk to you about the negative aspects of going to high school. There's so much that you can get into. You know, there's violence. Well, I go to a small school. I go to Renaissance High School, and I'm a little more sheltered than most of you all will be. You will go to bigger high schools, and there'll be so much peer pressure. There'll be drugs, gangs, violence. It's so much that you get into. That's when you need to use your parents' guidance, and you need to use your common sense and not be easily influenced by other people. You need to say no. You do have the choice to say no and decide what you're going to do. So when you go, don't stick to your own mind. Use your common sense. Don't be influenced by others. And there are so many other things that you can do in school. You have choir, you have band, there are so many other clubs. You can get involved in all of that. But remember that your main priority is academics. And don't overwhelm yourself with so much stuff. You know, people want to do everything. Well, I want to do this, I want to do that. Don't overwhelm yourself so that you can be good at one thing and then excel at that. Also want to say that I know here at Malcolm X Academy that they have taught you so much about your heritage and your culture. And you will need to use that as you go on in life. Because you're going to come in contact with so many other people. But in order to be an overall well-rounded person, you're going to have to know something about yourself first of all in order to interact with other people. So take what Malcolm X Academy has given you and don't forget them, because you're going to have to come back. You might be up here one day speaking to them, giving them advice. Come back to your community. Remember Malcolm X Academy, remember your parents. Because when it all boils down to it, it's all about you. You're going to have to make your own decision. Now, you're at the age now where you know right from wrong, and you know what to do. And you're going to have so many decisions to make. This is only the first step. You're going to have college, then you're going to have your first job, and many other things that you have to overcome to get where you want to be. So stay focused and let God guide you. Keep your faith. Remember, you know, what everyone has installed in you, and you make your own decisions. You determine your destiny. And remember, don't forget where you came from, because it's never goodbye. It's only till we meet again. Thank you very much.
Next we will have Nabawi, which is a parent and MXA founder, come and introduce our speaker.
Hello everyone. Habaragani. Assalamu alaikum. I miss anybody? I stand before you as a proud parent of my son, and I'm not leaving out his Baba and Zainab. We both had him. I like for my son to stand up. His name is Malcolm X. I make people praise boutique, no problem. Of course, I had him, but his Baba named him 14 years ago, Malcolm X. He answers to Malcolm X and not Malcolm. I'm a proud parent to have been a part of a vision that Dr. Watson had some years ago, a good 7 or 8 years ago, when he decided that he wanted to develop a male academy for our young brothers. And I was very pleased that he named that academy Malcolm X. So my son had to come to the Malcolm X Academy. Also, your names are very important. And although we teach him about his culture at home, our institutions are supposed to reinforce that. And I am very proud of the Malcolm X Academy, all the staff and teachers for instilling what I and his Baba teaches him at his home. I wanted to say and reiterate to the students that you walk in the footsteps of your ancestors and you stand on their shoulders. You all are part of history, and you are writing history as we go. This graduation is dedicated to Dr. Betty Shabazz. She was our link to the Honorable Malaak Shabazz, Malcolm X. When we were at Plainview on the outskirts of Dearborn, they did not want us in their community. Dr. Betty came and gave us her support. She gave us a little change to put in the coffers of the Malcolm X Academy. She came on several occasions to embrace the children, the staff, and the school. Then we moved to our building on Chicago and Illinois, and she came there, and she blessed us. Our last graduating class, 1997, which was Dr. Betty Shabazz's last speech, she came and blessed the students. But before she parted, she wanted, the Academy was planning a trip with the Fahankra group to go to Ghana, West Africa. She gave us a little change to put in our coffers, and she said that 12 of our students had an opportunity to go to Ghana, West Africa. Up on her, when she parted, because the last thing she said to us last year was, these babies must go. Sister Joanne Watson got on the radio on her program, Wake Up Detroit, and reiterated that Dr. Betty Shabazz wanted these children to go to Africa. And money poured in from all over the city for our students to go to West Africa. I would like the students that went to West Africa to stand up, please. You all have had an opportunity at age 12, 13, and maybe 14 to do some things that a lot of us, your elders, have not had an opportunity to do. But it was on the spirit of Dr. Betty Shabazz that saw to it that you all made it to Africa. I did not worry about your plane ride because I knew she was flying with you. And I knew she had her man on her side overseeing the whole trip. And you all went and came back strong, tall, and you know who you are. So don't ever forget that experience. And always hold Dr. Betty Shabazz in your prayers. Last, you can sit down now. Thank you. You all look good. You look like scholars. Now, after the departure of Betty Shabazz, she had to take a trip to meet her husband. They had some things they had to do. It was long overdue. So we gave a tribute to Dr. Watson. Because without Dr. Watson, you all would not be here today. You would not be the scholars that you are going to be today if it wasn't for Dr. Watson. Another shining prince, black man, an example of black man who loved his black babies. Gave a tribute to him, Dr. Betty and Malaak Shabazz, oldest daughter, came and blessed you all. And she said that she wanted to continue in the tradition of her mother and that you can call her Auntie Atala. She wasn't able to make the graduation. We felt that we had to have somebody from the bloodline here. And she dedicated her baby, big baby sister, Sister Malaak Shabazz. She is a computer analysis. So I would like everyone in the Click Computer Club to stand up, please. I took her over to the computer room when we came to the school earlier, and she was just like a kid on that computer. And she was flipping, oh wow, this is great. Oh, you all got a lot of stuff. Well, me, myself, I don't know anything about computers. And when I have to do computer work, I call on my son, Malcolm X Nabawi, who helps me out and type the little letter and memo to Sister Atala so that she can know what we were doing for the graduation. But I wanted you all to talk to your sister before she leaves. And maybe she can help you out in the near future, or maybe you all will be a computer analysis. Okay, you can sit down. Sister Malaak, I always have to say it like this, Malaak, is not just a speaker. She's our sister. She's a part of our family. And it was important for her to meet you all, to come to the school, and to understand that her mother meant a lot to us. And of course, she knows her father means a lot to us. So without further ado, I'm her big sister. She don't know that. I'm her big sister, but she's my big sister because she's from that Watusi tribe. I'm from the Twa tribe. And if I can say this, you know, for all us little people in the audience, we gave birth to all these big people that's walking around here. Okay? So pat yourself on the back. But without further ado, I'd like to bring to you our sister, Sister Malaak Shabazz.
Peace and many blessings to all brothers and to their families and friends, to Dr. Watson and Mrs. Dawson and Sister Nabawi. Before the written word, there was the oral word. And my mother used to tell us a story about wisdom. Now, when I say once upon a time, I want you to respond with time. Okay? Once upon a time. Time. Once upon a time. Time. Once upon a time. Time. Once upon a time, there was a man named Anansi. And Anansi wanted to collect all of the wisdom of the world. So he took a calabash. He went to the north and collected all the wisdom that he could collect. He went to the south. He went to the east. He went to the west. After he collected all of the wisdom, he decided to find a baobab tree, climb up to the top of this baobab tree, and just immerse himself in all this wisdom. As he tried to climb this tree, he put the calabash under his right arm, and he kept slipping down. His little son came to him and looked at him and said, "Papa, what are you doing?" He said, "Leave me alone, I'm busy." He then puts it under his left arm and climbs up. He slips down. He was frustrated. He just couldn't get up. His son said, "Papa, Papa, why don't you put the calabash on top of your head and climb up?" His father, without thinking, put the calabash on top of his head, climbed up the tree, and made it. As he got up at the top of the tree, he thought to himself, "I have all of this wisdom, and yet this young child, my son, taught me how to get there." He got so angry that he didn't really have all that wisdom, that when he stood up, the calabash broke and spread out, and all the wisdom dispersed amongst all the youth at the bottom of the tree. So all of you have wisdom. Now, the moral of the story is, when you're young, and sometimes people are not listening to you, your ideas and your thoughts are very important. And those ideas can guide us through the future, because they're important ideas, and they can cure a lot of things. When I was younger, my mother used to travel a lot to Africa, and we had a global map. We would always have to point to where she was traveling to, but when she came home, she expected a report. So we knew and understood what was going on in Africa. She would also teach us and help us understand what was going on. I was 21 when I went to Ghana, as you young 12-year-olds went. And it enhanced my life tremendously. It humbled me, it made me understand the world the way it is, instead of just listening to someone else's view of the world. I got a chance to see it for myself, to form my own opinion, as you did. But for those who cannot go, they need to be taught by you. You always have to enrich and help others, becoming more aware of the richness of our culture and our history. It's not just reading and seeing. You have to absorb it and immerse it on everyone else. If one cannot travel, it is imperative that you teach each other. You have to teach each other. You can't just keep it to yourself. We have to teach each other and expand our own horizons, and not allow anyone to say that we are not a rich culture. We are a very rich culture. I'm a computer analyst by trade, and it was very uplifting for me to go into your computer class, or the click class? Okay, the click class. The information highway is so important, and I'm part of a group that is trying to enhance African Americans or people of color in the computer era, because you can't just be a user anymore. You have to be creative. 20% of all computer people are black that create computer technology today. The information system highway is the most important thing that's going to bring us into the next millennium. And for those computer people who, in the class, in the audience, graduates, who are aspiring to be computer analysts or programmers, is the best thing you could ever do. It is steering you in the right direction, and you need to enhance and teach others as well. 80% are just users, and when you have 20% that are controlling the entire world in computer systems, and only 80% is users, the 80% users are being told what to do. We need to forge towards the future and start creating our own boundaries, writing down our own history, creating our own stories. I'm honored that you have allowed me to share this graduation with you, and I hope you will welcome you again. Thank you very much.
First of all, let me say that it is an honor to be in the presence of Malcolm X's baby daughter, Miss Malaak Shabazz. Okay. Next, we will have a dance presentation done by Miss Keita from the Wayne State Dance. Okay. Next we'll have Ms. Kahiba Keita, the Wayne State Dance instructor, do a dance presentation.
Just like to remind you that we are live at the Malcolm X Academy. And these dances commemorate certain parts of our lives. So you never forget when you're going on to high school. So let's have some spirit and enthusiasm in the house tonight. Is that all right? All right, so say it again. You say yeah, yeah, say it again. Yeah, say it again. Yeah, yeah, say it again. Yeah, yeah. I want you to show me that you're ready. When I say cha 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 manyamba, I want you to snap your finger like that. Say ya. You say ya. Ya. Cha 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 manyamba. Ya. Cha 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 manyamba. Ya. Cha 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 manyamba. Ya. Manyamba. Ya. Manyamba. Ya. Manyamba. Ya. Most of you are too slow. What happened? Well, say it again. Yeah, yeah. You forgot already. Yeah, yeah. Well, say it again. Yeah, yeah. Well, say it again. Yeah, yeah. Say it again. Yeah, yeah. Say it again. Yeah, yeah. Cha 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 manyamba. Ya. Cha 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 manyamba. Ya. Manyamba. Ya. We proudly present to you your own Malcolm X Academy, Sawande Alayo Keita. He's going to play the djembe song tonight. He's one of your very good, cool friend graduates, right? He's also my son. And I'm happy, but this is also his mother that's coming to do the dance, and they're coming to do the dance of royalty. So let me see you sit upright with royalty. Come on, act like kings and queens. Act like people who have made it already, because your future is almost predicted before you get into it. He's going to lead us with the little drum chant to get us all ready, and then they're going to come out doing loud. Here we go. celebration. To all of our distinct and noble guests, Sister Malaak and Dr. Watson, Mama Dawson, and all of you. Ms. Spinner, you know we love you all. But this is your dance of royalty celebration in 1998.
Thank
Now we will have presentations of certificates. First, we'll have Mr. Michaels.
Last year, we started out a tradition at the Malcolm X Academy. The tradition is the Coaches Award. The Coaches Award is presented to two students, one selected by Coach Moore, one selected by Coach Watson. And they are because of their athletic ability, but also their academic ability. And these gentlemen's names have been inscribed on the plaque, which you see before you. And they will be put on display at the Academy. It will last as long as the Academy lasts. And their children and grandchildren will come and see what they have done. Today we honor two more great men whose names have been added to this magnificent trophy. Just give me a moment. If you notice, the trophies have been backwards so that no one could see who has been presented tonight. So it'll be a surprise. Our first Coaches Award, and please come up after your name is called, Mr. Kevin Monroe. Certificate of recognition for the achievement during the academic year 1997-98 with the Michigan Educational Assessment Program, that is the MEP test. These are the students that far exceeded the goals set by the school and the state with their scores on their last MEP test. That is Ms. Krista Blair. Please stand. Ms. Emily Booker. Ms. Vanilla Daniels. Ms. Deanna French. Mr. Blake Hill. Mr. Carl Parker. Ms. Shay Sanders.
Mr. Jonathan Taylor, Mr. Lamont Tolliver, and last but certainly not least, Miss Ashley Trapp. Thank you, congratulations. Good to see you.
Next, we will have awards presented by Ms. Penner.
Good evening. All that you've experienced this evening has been a joint effort. So many people have worked to make this a wonderful occasion for our celebrants on this fourth rites of passage. We'd like for these people at least to stand as we recognize the folks that pulled together to make this night possible, starting with our president of our 8th grade parent association, Ms. Danielle Stowers. Would you come forward? We just want her to know how much we appreciate her efforts in making this a wonderful night. She's going to come back to you in a few minutes, but we do want to present her with just a bouquet of flowers to say thank you. Is Miss Morrison in the audience? Miss Morrison, who was her assistant. Come on, Miss Morrison, get your bouquet. We just want you to know how much we appreciate you. Is Miss Harrison in the audience? These are the parents that worked entirely to make this night a night for these children. Is Miss Harrison in the audience? Is Miss Beatty? Miss Beatty in the audience also. Boys get the bouquets for them to let them know we appreciate them so much. Miss Beatty, Miss Harrison, these are the women who worked for their children. Also, while we're standing, we just want to recognize, will our staff please stand? The Malcolm X Academy staff, wherever you are in the building. Malcolm X We also just want to give, as the kids would say, a shout out to Miss Harris, who got these 7th graders together. Miss Thomas, would you raise your hands so they can know you are. Miss Hall, Mr. Michael, this folks who just pulled this together when our own principal said go for it to bring it together. We're just so glad of them. We'd like to thank Mama Dawson. She's doing a wonderful job. Always backing us up, letting us know, go ahead with your plans. We are right behind you. And of course, last but not least, our own principal, the Honorable Dr. Clifford White. We just want to know that there is a collective effort. It's not just one of us, ladies and gentlemen. You can do all things when you come together. That's all you have to do. Touch and what? Look at these folks. They know what to say and agree. We thank you very much.
Now we will have the presentations of the certificates First, with the class of 2002, please stand. You guys, thank you very much.
Mr. Buchanan will be the first to present his certificates to room 205. So those graduates, please stand. The rest be seated, please. Mr. Buchanan, room 205.
Okay, as I start calling your name, I want you to file this way, come around, get to the front. First, we will have Brother Andre Bell. Next, Brother Damian Bennett. Next, we will have presentations given by Brother Jeffrey Robertson.
205, you may be seated. Well, section 9, please rise. Certificates, I'd like to wish all of you Godspeed. First certificate will go to Mr. Brandon Bailey. Section 9, would you start a line right here so we can expedite things? In your order. Maybe out of alphabetical order, but doesn't call your name. Come on anyway. Ms. Krista Blair. Miss Ebony Booker. Mr. Gary Booker. Ms. Motormouth Shonda Carter. Ms. Vanilla Daniels. Ms. Tiana French. Mr. Blake Hill. Mr. Kenny Hobson. Mr. Charles Jones. drummer extraordinaire, Mr. Sawande Kaita. Mr. Malcolm X Nabawi. Miss Melisha Lyons. Mr. Donnie McWilliams. Mr. Stephen Meadows.
Hey, man.
Mr. Matthew Nelson. Mr. Ivan Nelson. Mr. Carl Parker. Miss Shay Sanders. Miss Janelle Smith. Mr. Marcus Sheffield. Mr. Jonathan C. Taylor. Miss Ashley Trapp.
I had to look at it. I'm not confessing.
Mr. Lamont Tolliver.
A whole lot of people.
He's out of order. I dropped him on the floor.
Yeah. Okay, well, probably work something.
Mr. Marquise Taylor. Beautiful Miss Dawn Webster. And last but not least, Mr. Santino Diego. Again, I'd like to present to you the graduating class, Section 9 of the Malcolm X Academy.
I'm going to represent Mama Spinner in class Section 10. But before I do, I'd just like to make everybody aware of the fact that that beautiful song was done by one of our students' mothers, Calvin Wooten's mother, Miss Mrs. Wooten. Let's give her another round. Also, I'd like for everybody to be aware that that drawing of Malcolm X on your program was done by one of our 8th graders, Santino. Stand, please. Michael Aldridge. Tanisha Allen.
While we're waiting, Mrs. Dawson, I just wanted to say, could our 7th graders please just stop where you are? We want to recognize these young people. They're our 8th graders for next year. These are the high achievers in the 7th grade. The valedictorian for that group is Miss Jacqueline Palmer. Where is Jacqueline? And salutatorian. Okay, and we have 2 wonderful salutatorians. Yes, we do. Would you please raise your hands, a salutatorian? That is our young lady. And where's our young man?
The 2 salutatorians for the 7th grade are Miss Tarita Marion and Miss Keith Crispin. At this time, we'd like to have some closing remarks from our Honorable Principal, Dr. Clifford Watson.
Mike, Father.
It's indeed a pleasure to be here with you. I'm not here to give a speech. There's only 2 things I really want to do. First of all, I want to thank these young people. I think sometimes as parents and as adults, we do not understand the depth and intelligence of our children. It's not about the meat, the math, the cat, GPA. It's what's in the H in the heart.
Say that.
Got a lot in that heart. Let's give them a round. To all of the parents, will you please stand? All of the parents, all your parents. Now let's give it up for the parents. Do it tonight. Grab your mother, grab your father, grab your grandmother, your aunt, whomever looks over you, and grab them real close to you and say, I love you, and I thank you for what you've done. Do that tonight. Just got a few more. Once again, when I had this vision, it was a vision that I was given, and to make it manifest, to bring it about, it took not just me, but it took a team. And the beauty of a family, the beauty of a team is it's when the chief or the head of the family steps away, the family can still function. That is why I'm so appreciative of Mrs. Dawson, Mr. Michael, and all the staff. Give them a round. And very quickly to our very honored guest, Sister Malaak. We were up here quietly discussing, and she comes from, Betty, Brother Malcolm, but she looks like Brother Malcolm in this, and this. But the bottom line is, she comes from the prince and the queen of our family. And we were blessed to have her sister here, and we were blessed to have her here. And I want to say in front of her, when her mother came for the first time to the building, she came into my office, and she looked at the picture, and I don't know if you saw it in the hallway, where it showed your father, and it showed the school. And she said, that is truly my black prince. And that young artist, he was only 24 when he drew that. But those of you who've been in the building and been in my office, he did an outstanding job. In honor of Sister Shabazz, most of you know, we put up a playground. And not only do our children play on the playground, but all the children in the community play on the playground. That's called a family, because we share. Young people, you got to learn to share. We are going to we've dedicated the playground, but we're going to dedicate a plaque that will be put on the building that will be there forever, Sister Mother. So that when you bring your children and their children, they will see that that playground is in the memory of Sister Betty Shabazz. We will never forget her. Second thing I want to do is bring up two students, and I want to continue doing what we started. How many of you students were here when we were on Woodward? Please stand. Anybody on Woodward? That was a long time ago. Give it up to this. When we had our first graduating class, as most of you remember and has been mentioned before, when I wrote the concept, I was dealing with all the problems facing young black men. And we know today, looking at the prisons, that I don't have to give you a speech. Our young brothers are still catching you know what. But as we look at these young black men here, and we look at these young black women, we know, as the brother mentioned earlier, we got a chance. And the saying that you hear in some sports circles, and unfortunately so many of our little brothers honor Michael Jordan, and they don't understand what a hero or shero is. Michael won't come to your bedside when you need something. When your pocket is empty, you can't call on Michael. They say he's worth $10 million, but he won't give you a penny. But when you get broke, call on Mama. She'll be there. When you need to be fed, call on Mama. She'll be there. So what we did with our first graduating class, we gave a scholarship for $1,000. And we said to the young men, if you go through high school, get a 2.7 or better, do community work, etc., we will give you this scholarship to go to college. Because remember what the Bible said. It said you can give a man a fish and feed him one day, but you give him a fishing pole, you feed him for life. If we give these children education, they'll have funds for the rest of their life. So what we're going to start today is we're going to kind of rename our scholarship program, and we're going to start them off with a tool. We're going to give them the first installment. So we got two young people, a young man and a young woman, and we're going to name this the Shabazz Scholarship. So this is the first annual Shabazz Scholarship. So Sister Malaak, these young people that I'm going to bring forward exemplify what Betty and Malcolm stood for. As you read, and I know all of you read, it said Malcolm only went to 8th grade, I believe. But he had a PhD, 3rd grade. 3rd grade, but he had a PhD in knowledge because he read books from cover to cover. You got to read, young people. You don't stop this stomach, you keep reading. He was a scholar. He was clearly one who worked for his people in the community. Sister Betty went on after she lost her husband, went back to school, was a nurse, got her PhD, a scholar, and went all throughout these United States and the world working for her people and for humanity. Because as the sister said, you know, you got to know who you are, but you got to know computers. You got to know how to build these buildings, brothers and sisters, because they're going to build these casinos. Where will you be at? I'm not advocating. Don't say Dr. Marshall said, you know, go gamble. That's not what I'm talking about. But you got to get the skills. So we want to bring forward for our first annual Shabazz Scholarship. Our first recipient is Miss Krista Black. And I think all of you know all the statistics on Krista. 3.9, scholar, participant in the Click Club. I think she was the president of the Click Club. And she also, which is so important, she gave back to our little people. She tutored our little 1st and 2nd grade. That is so important. So, Krista. Last but not least, going to a young brother, school and college folks, if you get a PhD, will not be anything like this. But always remember, keep in mind, who helped you to get where you are, and make sure that you go back, give it back. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Martin, for that remark. Now we will have some remarks made by the 8th grade parent committee president, Mrs. Danielle Stowers.
Good evening, everyone. I'm standing here,
Jamo.
proud parent of my son, Johnny Stowers. I'm a bit emotional, and I really didn't know that I had to speak. But I'd like to say thank you to the Malcolm X Academy staff, the teachers, Mrs. Spinner, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Buchanan, Ms. Dawson, and Dr. Watson. I would like to thank the gentlemen that are up here. You've done a great job. Jeffrey Daniels and Dennis Davis. I would like to say thank you to my executive board members, Ms. Michelle Morris, Cheryl Baby, Elaine, Ms. Harrison. We struggled. We made it through. We got over a lot of obstacles, and things turned out great, which we were all thankful for. But I would especially like to thank my family, my mother, Dorothy Williams, my mother-in-law, Miss Bernice Sanders, my aunt and uncle, Clarence and Carol Figgs, my cousins, Lisa, Clarence Figgs, my daughter, Chelsea. Thank you all for standing behind me, helping me in my endeavors, as far as my son is concerned. You know that I go all the way out, and I couldn't do it without your support. But Mr. Buchanan, I want to take this moment to say to you, thank you. I appreciate the efforts, the motivation, the pushing that you've done for my son. He's been with you, I believe, 2 or 3 years. He will come home. Mr. Buchanan is pushing me, he's frustrating me out. But maybe he does not realize now, but he will, that you were doing that for a reason. Because you knew that he had it within him to reach further than what he was doing, to accomplish and to achieve. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of my family. Don't realize that Mr. Buchanan's class is what the school calls a self-contained class. His class is an all-boy class. This man has done an excellent job motivating these young gentlemen, providing them with things that maybe as a mother, a single mother, that I couldn't do. And this is why I appreciate him. Because again, my son would come home some days frustrated and upset, but I knew what Mr. Buchanan's purpose was. And again, I have to say thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stowers. Now we will have words from Mrs. Dawson. Ms. Dawson.
The evening is getting late. I'd just like to say, may God continue to bless us all and be strong and do the best that you can do wherever you do go next year for high school.
Just one more thing. Is Mama Adams here? Is she here? King Sunday, get your drum a minute. some unsung heroes. Some folk that work behind the scenes and nobody ever knows these folk work this hard. Jeffrey, James, go get some flowers because we're going to give these to Mama Adams. Where is she? She needs to come on down. Mama Adams has worked for the last, we've had this for 5 years, Ms. Dawson. Mama Adams has worked 5 years. And I don't think we've done anything but call her name. We're going to give her a little drum roll or something to let her know how much we appreciate her. Benjamin Hines, I didn't forget to mention you. But you did a good job this year. Darius Beatty, didn't forget to mention you did a good job this year. She is right here. Yeah, give us a flowers. We're going to give her a little thing and come on, King. Then we're going to line up and get on out here. Jeff gets up here in a minute. Come on, Mama.
I don't know.
In the hands of Mr. Robinson for benediction.
But
thank you all, 7th grade, line up in front of them, and we're ready to go, Mr. Robinson.
Will all the graduates please stand and join hands, please?
LSCO.
Will all the parents please rise with us as well?
I only had
Parents and guests, I'm sorry.
I had only planned on making one. It's 5, 3, 2.
We ask for one more moment of silence as we bow our heads in prayer. One moment of silence as we bow our heads in prayer. Eternal God, we have come to the end of this program. We have lifted these students up as high as we can, and we know now that we have lifted them up, you will take them up. You will take them our heads in prayer. One moment of silence as we bow our heads in prayer. Eternal God, we have come to the end of this program. We have lifted these students up as high as we can, and we know now that we have lifted them up, you will take them up. You will take them up to the highest that their minds can achieve. You're going to take them to the highest that their abilities will allow them to go. We know you're going to open their minds, you're going to open their hearts, and let your will be done in their lives. I ask a special
my executive board members, Ms. Michelle Morris, Cheryl Baby, Ms. Harrison. We struggled, we made it through, we got over a lot of obstacles, and things turned out great, which we were all thankful for. But I would especially like to thank my family, my mother, Dorothy Williams, my mother-in-law, Ms. Bernice Sanders, my aunt and uncle, Clarence and Carol Figgs, my cousins, Lisa, Clarence Figgs, my daughter, Chelsea. Thank you all for standing behind me, helping me in my endeavors, as far as my son is concerned. You know that I go all the way out, and I couldn't do it without your support. But Mr. Buchanan, I want to take this moment to say to you, thank you. I appreciate the efforts, the motivation, the pushing that you've done for my son. He's been with you, I believe 2 or 3 years. He will come home, Mr. Buchanan is pushing me, he's frustrating me out. But maybe he does not realize now, but he will, that you were doing that for a reason. Because you knew that he had it within him to reach further than what he was doing, to accomplish and to achieve. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of my family. Don't realize that Mr. Buchanan's class is what the school calls a self-contained class. His class is an all-boy class. This man has done an excellent job motivating these young gentlemen, providing them with things that maybe as a mother, a single mother, that I couldn't do. And this is why I appreciate him. Because again, my son would come home some days frustrated and upset, but I knew what Mr. Buchanan's purpose was. And again, I have to say thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stowers. Now we will have words from Mrs. Dawson. Ms. Dawson.
Since the evening is getting late, I'd just like to say, may God continue to bless us all and be strong and do the best that you can do wherever you do go next year for high school.
Just one more thing. Is Mama Adams here? Is she here? King Sundiata, get your drum a minute. We have some unsung heroes. Some folk that work behind the scenes and nobody ever knows these folk work this hard. Jeffrey, James, go get some flowers because we're going to give these to Mama Adams. Where is she? She needs to come on down. Mama Adams has worked for the last, we've had this for 5 years, Ms. Dawson. Mama Adams has worked 5 years. And I don't think we've done anything but call her name. We're going to give her a little drum roll or something to let her know how much we appreciate her. Benjamin Hines, I didn't forget to mention you. But you did a good job this year. Darius Beatty, didn't forget to mention you did a good job this year. Where are you, King Sunday? Come on, Mama Adams, come on down here so we can give you some flowers. Where are you, girl? Come on, girl. Here she is right here. Yeah, give us some flowers. We're gonna give her a little thing and come on, King, and then we're gonna line up and get on out here. Jeff gets up in a minute. Come on, Mama.
I don't know.
In the hands of Mr. Robinson for benediction.
But
Thank you all, 7th grade, line up in front of them, and we're ready to go, Mr. Robinson.
Parent organization.
Will all the graduates please stand and join hands, please?
LSCO. No, that's right. You see how many people in here? Sure, yeah, right.
Will all the parents please rise with us as well?
I only had
Parents and guests, I'm sorry.
I had only planned on making one. It's 5, 3, 2.
We ask for one more moment of silence as we bow our heads in prayer. One moment of silence as we bow our heads in prayer. Eternal God, we have come to the end of this program. We have lifted these students up as high as we can, and we know now that we have lifted them up, you will take them up. You will take them our heads in prayer. One moment of silence as we bow our heads in prayer. Eternal God, we have come to the end of this program. We have lifted these students up as high as we can, and we know now that we have lifted them up, you will take them up. You will take them up to the highest that their minds can achieve. You're going to take them to the highest that their abilities will allow them to go. We know you're going to open their minds, you're going to open their hearts, and let your will be done in their lives.